Okay. Okay.
Okay, and I got the timer going.
Okay. Sounds good. Hi, Chloe. It's so nice to meet you. I want to thank you for visiting with me today. And I appreciate you filling out the client intake form. I was able to review that prior to this meeting, and I understand that you're having a difficult time adjusting to and understanding your body's needs for a post-athlete life. Would you mind
Yeah.
telling me a little bit more about this?
Yeah, so I was an elite athlete most of my life. Like I played lacrosse since I was 6 years old, and I was always on like travel teams and everything. And then when I got into like high school age, I started ski racing also, and I thank you. Um, but yeah, I was always super active. Like I was always a multiple sport athlete. And at the time, like middle school era and like high school era, of course, I thought that I was bigger than I actually was. And it turns out I look back on pictures and I'm like, I was this big around, but sure. Um, but in that, like, so that was kind of the part where I was like going through, like, I guess, dieting and stuff. But honestly, I was just super active. And so then when I kind of stopped that, my body definitely changed. And I'm still pretty active. Um, but I feel like I just don't know what my nutritional needs are anymore because, like, I always had my mom cooking for me, or I always had like some sort of like food plan that got me enough food in. And now I'm kind of just here on my own. And it's honestly a little bit confusing because I'm just like, I don't know where to start. Like, if I'm not working out multiple hours a day, like that's not, it was like basically my job at that point. Um, and I'm definitely not working out multiple hours a day now. And yeah, I know that like body changes come with age also. Um, but yeah, kind of that whole thing.
Gotcha. Honestly, I can identify with some of the same um, aspects that you were mentioning, just with like my own ability to make time for working out as intensely as I used to. And I've also noticed
Mhm.
my own body that I'm not always excited about, and
Yeah.
like the difficult thing to navigate, and things change. And um, uh, I wanted to thank you for putting so much detail into the food environment section of the intake form. It looks
Yeah.
like you enjoy a variety of foods and physical activity, like you said, as much as you might not be working out those amount of hours that you were in middle school and high school. It sounds like you were still able to get quite a bit done every week. Do you mind just walking me through a typical day of like what your food environment looks like?
Yeah. So I definitely am always a breakfast person. Like that has never been a problem for me. I get hangry. Like I get mean when I'm hungry. So I know that I have to eat. And so it's never really been like a under eating thing for me. At least not intentionally. But anyway, so I always eat breakfast. And I'll usually have that one does vary a decent amount because there are a couple days where I have PT because I'm in Air Force ROTC also. And yeah, so I have PT 2 times a week, so Tuesdays and Thursdays. And we start that at, so it goes from 6 to 7 a.m. And then we have class right at 8 a.m. also for ROTC. And so we have to go like change out of our PT uniform, put on our other uniform, and eat breakfast like all in that time. And like sometimes it just doesn't work that I can like make something on my own. Um, and so on those days, I like most of the time will like order from Starbucks or something like that. I'll get definitely a coffee, but I also make sure that I get like a breakfast sandwich or something. Um, and I've I don't really know why I switched, but I recently switched to the like lower calorie one for I don't really know why. Um I don't necessarily like it more.
You
um
don't like it more?
Not really.
Okay.
Um, I will say the double smoked bacon and cheddar is going to be better than the turkey bacon every single day. And like my brain knows that. But yeah, anyways, I don't really know why I've made the switch, but
That's fine.
I was like, yeah, but I was like, I don't know, maybe I should try to be a little bit more healthy when I'm eating out.
Do you think that was potentially, I noticed in the intake form, you mentioned like a desire to have a lower body weight than your current reported weight. Do you think that potentially had anything to do with that switch just subconsciously?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
um, and sorry, I know I'm getting off track here. I'll
Oh
come
no,
back to
you're
the
okay. Not don't apologize at all. You were just walking me through your daily
yeah.
routine.
I will say it's definitely difficult with Air Force standards to feel like I am okay in my body. Like my body does a lot for me, and you know, I really resonate with like a lot of the like health. You know, like I think that I am a healthy person, but you know, and I have a lot of muscle mass on me. Like I can move a lot of weight and all of this stuff, but um unfortunately the Air Force is something that I'm also really passionate about, and that's going to be my job on graduation, and they're like just some standards that I have to adhere to. And
Definitely.
yeah, and like honestly the Air Force tells me that I'm way overweight. Like the Air Force tells me that I'm 30 pounds overweight, which really sucks.
I
um
just, yeah, those exact words can be so judgmental and
yeah,
completely
yeah,
understandable why you would feel the way that you do. Do
yeah,
you,
because
go
oh,
ahead.
go ahead.
No, no, you're okay.
um well, I was just saying, like, again, I am proud of the things that my body can do. Um, and so I don't want, like, yeah, of course, there are like aesthetic things that everyone goes through, whatever. Um, but it's never been like the most important to me. But I need to make sure that I am able to like keep my job. Which so the Air Force goes off of BMI standards,
Okay,
and
interesting.
I have never fit into that category.
Okay.
I'm 5'10", and I've been weightlifting since I was 14, because athletics. Um, and so
Okay.
yeah, yeah. And so like I remember my freshman year of high school, I put on 20 pounds of muscle. Like I went from entering my freshman year of high school at 140, I left at 160.
Wow. And
Like
all in one
no,
moment.
yes, like not
Okay.
fat on my
That's
body.
incredible.
But like, so I've been 160 pounds since I was 14. Like, and that's just how I'm built. And the Air Force standard is 173 pounds is your max that you can be at my height.
Interesting.
And
Okay.
like, that's just, I struggle because that's unrealistic for me. And I know that, you know, but then in the back of my mind, I can tell that my food takes a hit.
And you've
Um,
experienced things in the past that would have told you otherwise, like you had mentioned, what your body felt to be healthy.
yeah, yeah,
Do you feel
absolutely.
the ROTC or the Air Force is kind of one of the barriers that, no, I mean, it sounds like you are very interested in continuing in the process of the Air Force and after
Hmm.
graduating, moving into the workforce with them.
Hmm.
Have they been, has been being in that um, branch of the military hindered your ability to, I guess, have stayed, maintained the body image that you were so happy with when you were in high school and middle school?
Um, I think so. And like I said, I like weightlifting and I like being strong.
Yeah.
And it's like, unfortunately, BMI, like as a thing, I mean, and I've done like whole research papers on this.
Yeah.
And I like, and specifically regarding the military as well. Um, but I was like, I just understand that it doesn't encompass all body types. And I
Absolutely
know,
doesn't sound like it does.
yeah, especially for me. Um, but anyway, so I definitely find it difficult to keep on track with my food and with the feeling of needing to lose weight to maintain
Okay.
something else that like brings me happiness and that makes me excited.
Right. Um, do are will the Air Force then limit like the opportunities that are available to you upon finishing whatever requirements that they do of you ask of you guys?
Um, Potentially. So I
Okay.
will say they are switching to a less BMI heavy
Okay.
system, but not until you go active duty. And
Okay.
I'm still in ROTC right now. So we literally just got an email today that was like, get ready for BMI measurements. And I was like, okay.
Well, it's understandable why that would be so stressful for you right now, on top of everything else, being a student and trying to just manage all of everything on your plate and meet the BMI that this thing that brings you so much enjoyment is requiring of you. It's completely understandable that you would feel that way. I noticed something that stood out to me on your form was that you have kind of been actively engaging or practicing intuitive eating.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to tell me a
Yeah.
little bit more about your understanding of that method?
Yeah, absolutely. I again, I feel like I was looking at calories for so long
Okay.
that I kind of like I have it in my brain, so it's hard to get it
Kind of
out.
like they're the enemy.
No, not even necessarily the enemy, just like
Okay.
I when I like look at a food, I generally know like what the calorie count is.
Gotcha.
Just because I did it for so long, whether I care or not now. Um, but anyways, sorry.
No,
um,
you're totally okay.
but yeah, so with intuitive eating, it gets a little bit hard for me in that realm where I'm like, I don't want to care about the calories, and I should just eat when I'm hungry. And a lot of, I don't know, I think like that's the main point of eating intuitively is just trying to eat when I'm hungry.
Yeah.
And my big thing is honestly trying to eat 3 meals a day,
Okay.
and making sure that they are nutritious meals. And that definitely does not always happen for me. But sometimes, like, I just kind of have to settle for a meal, even if it's not the most nutritious, because with like all of the stuff that I've
Yeah.
said, like I'm definitely super busy and like um being able to like be home and cook is a hard thing a lot of the time.
Is that something you
But
enjoy doing?
I like it when I have time to.
Okay, absolutely. I understand that because I only like to cook when I have time as well.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, but when I come home after a long day, I'm like, that is the last thing I want to do.
But yeah, I completely understand that. I think that's a normal thing to experience in today's age. Honestly, I think a lot of people kind of express those issues
Mhm.
with being able to incorporate healthy meals into their daily routine just simply based on the lack of time.
Yeah.
Um, do you have a good recognition of your hunger cues? And do you try to meet them when you notice that they're there, or do you kind of try to reject them based on those fears you have with the ROTC?
That is definitely one of the things that I am good at. Like I definitely know my hunger cues. Like I said, I get hangry and I can tell when I'm like about to get mean. And I'm like, and the people around me know as well. So they're like, hey, are you hungry? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's definitely one of the things. Like I I don't think that I struggle with like the cues or with actually eating. It's just
Okay.
the like the fear of the other stuff is like looming in the back of my brain, if that makes sense. But I will say
Absolutely.
like I feel like a lot of the like processes and stuff I'm pretty familiar in, but I don't know that I've like been able to implement them within my lifestyle super well.
Okay. That makes sense. Is the ROTC's BMI basis, is it something that prevents you from, I guess I don't know how to phrase this question exactly. Is their BMI requirement affecting your ability to not focus so much on your own BMI and losing that desired weight that you were expressing?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I understand. Um, it's definitely like it's lower than what I want to be at also, which is hard.
Yeah.
Because I honestly think that like my body probably sits pretty healthy around like I would say that I'm at the heavier end of what I've been now, and it doesn't necessarily feel good, which is why I am like still interested in like getting down a little bit.
Okay.
Um, but I don't even want to go as low as like quote my BMI says that I should be.
Absolutely. Do you know, do you have like a good understanding to yourself of what that good feeling feels to you, or what you, like you mentioned your intake form, what a healthy body feels like to you, and what experiences you've had in the past that you can recognize that brought you that enjoyment and feelings of a healthy body?
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the big indicators for me is like cardio and what that feels like.
Okay.
Because I can I can strength train at like a heavier body weight for myself and honestly feel like super powerful and probably more so than when I'm at a smaller version of myself. Um, I'm like, if you ever look at like
Yeah.
the crazy like Olympic powerlifters, like they're not small.
Right.
Um,
Not by any means. Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah. And so that I definitely think that for my needs, I kind of have to be in the middle of that. And
Okay.
I think that's maybe the key is that I haven't been in the middle of like the cardio space and the lifting space. And the the way that I think about it in my mind is those are like two different body types to me.
I
Um,
understand that.
yeah, and I feel I like I feel good in myself and I feel healthy in myself and I am able to achieve the things that I need to achieve when I'm at that middle point.
Okay.
Because like if I don't know if this helps, but our like fitness test for ROTC and for the Air Force in general is we do a minute of push-ups, a minute of sit-ups, and a mile and a half run. And so like I have to be in somewhat running shape. Like a mile and a
Gotcha.
half's
For
not
that.
crazy. Um,
Right.
but it's definitely like if I don't train for it,
Exactly.
you know,
Yeah.
then I'm gonna
It
be
can be
hurting a
more
little
challenging. Yeah.
for
Um,
sure.
yeah. It's, it sounds like you accomplish a lot daily, to be honest, with making healthy food choices. It sounds like you do fit in a lot of physical activity. And these are things that it sounds like bring you enjoyment. So it sounds like you're already incorporating a lot of what you're looking for out of this experience. Um, if I'm being honest, I'm having a hard time myself figuring out your biggest, I guess, the biggest thing that you would like to gain out of our meeting and moving forward, and I guess where that fits into progressing from ROTC to active duty.
Hmm.
Do you have
Um,
yeah, any more input
you're
you'd
okay.
like to inform me with?
Yeah. I definitely think that my diet is the place that I've struggled the most
Okay.
throughout everything. Um, I've always kind of been okay doing the like activity side. But honestly, that doesn't super like that doesn't really change my weight and it never really has. It's always been a diet thing for me. Like my body doesn't respond a lot to um like physical exercise in the form of weight loss. Like that's just not how she operates. Um and anyways, I think I just want a little bit more of I guess like guidance on ways that I can um maintain a more consistent diet because I'm definitely like all over the place. I don't think that I finished my other intake, but I was going to say breakfast is definitely my most consistent meal.
Gotcha.
And so
Is
on my
and the most important to you?
yes.
Yes.
And like I said, on my non-Starbucks days, I'm pretty good about like cooking myself like eggs and like a breakfast sausage and a piece of toast. And like that's pretty filling for me.
Okay.
But then honestly, like lunch and dinner, it kind of falls apart.
That's
And
kind of when the day develops and gets a little heavier and
mhm,
tasks pile up. And that's
yes,
understandable because I think a lot of people struggle in that same spot.
yeah, that's absolutely the part that is difficult for me.
Okay.
And like I want to eat when I'm hungry and I can recognize when I'm hungry, but I just I feel like there's something that's not clicking in my brain um for like preparing for those situations, if that makes
Okay.
sense.
Have you ever been a meal prepper or tried it,
I've
given it a whirl?
yeah, I've definitely tried. Not my favorite, but at the same time, I understand that like sometimes you just kind of have to.
Yeah, I mean, there's, of course, sometimes it limits the variety, obviously, that you're going to have them throughout the week. But it sounds like potentially in your situation for breakfast, at least since that's the most important meal to you. And if you eat consistently kind of the same thing every breakfast and you enjoy it, you could potentially just make boil several eggs. That way, instead of running to Starbucks, if that's something you're trying to avoid a little bit, you have those eggs to just
Mhm,
grab and go. You can even, I know this is like a silly recommendation, but boiling your eggs and then instantly like freezing them, they're easier and quicker to peel. So if like time is a constraint, I
okay.
always boil and freeze my eggs, and then you can peel them a lot quicker. And then
Hmm.
just maybe having like a toe, you could um, potentially have your toast ready and just like a packet of the
Hmm.
peanut butter or almond butter and whatever. What was the other thing that you liked to eat in the morning?
I usually do like a little breakfast sausage with it.
Oh, right. Okay.
Hmm.
And maybe, yeah, prep that as at the same time as you're making some of those eggs or even whatever
Hmm.
style you like them. And then you can just reheat your sausage and eggs in the morning if that's something you're interested in, because it sounds like you've got a really good grasp on being in tune with your body. Part of that intuitive eating, um, just finding time to stay consistent with nutritious meals is the biggest
Yeah,
challenge. Okay.
definitely the biggest challenge for me.
Okay, that's understandable. With lunch and dinner, do you know of any of your past experiences or situations where you noticed you were able to make things ahead of time so that you didn't need to order food as out as often, or potentially just not even have a meal if there's just not the time for it?
Um, I definitely think that my meals and my food intake um vary with like how busy I am. And I feel like that's standard for a lot of people. So I've definitely been the most successful in the past when I am, I guess, like organized myself with like my schoolwork and with my work. It definitely stems from, I feel like it's kind of like the root cause out there.
Sounds a bit like me, to be honest.
Yeah.
I always say
It's
I'm most successful in my personal and professional life if I'm organized in my like at home life, and school
mhm,
and everything is set and routine, like in a sense.
absolutely. Yeah, that definitely really helps me.
Okay.
Um, and yeah, I I guess one of the things that makes me like I don't even want to use like fall off the rails, but like kind of makes me fall off the rails a little bit is like one thing gets thrown in my plan and then I'm like not that awesome at adjusting.
Okay.
So like one thing will happen and I'll have to make dinner like an hour later and then I'm like, no, I don't want to now." I'm like, I
Right,
was
because
hungry
at that
then.
point, does it almost feel like a chore where it's just, okay, now this is just another task that I need to accomplish to move forward with the rest of my evening?
Yes, definitely.
Okay,
I'm
that's
like, yeah,
completely understandable.
yeah, it's
Like
like something
throwing a
messes in
wrench
my
into the
brain.
system. Okay,
Hmm.
gotcha.
Yeah. And then she
Um,
just is like, no.
not happening. That's something like you said that we all experience day to day. And so it's very valid that you feel this way. And it's something that you're trying to maneuver around and build a plan and make goals to meet. Is there a day or 2 days of the week that you have a lot more open available time that you could, in a sense, write out a potentially organized schedule or plan for yourself that you can then follow on the days that you're busy to open up some time for you to either make a quick healthy meal or um, squeeze in one of those workouts that you enjoy so much?
Yeah, I am definitely, I like my nights on Tuesdays and Wednesdays are definitely more open than like Thursday nights, definitely not. Like that's a ROTC heavy day and then I work Monday nights.
Okay.
Um yeah, so my Tuesday and Wednesday nights are definitely more open. Um which might feel good because it's like a benchmark of the week as well.
Okay.
But yeah.
How do you feel about using one or both of those nights to maybe first write out a plan that you would follow then the rest of the week for your super busy days, and then based on the plan that you develop, you can find that time to make those extra breakfast preps or go do a workout that you love doing and potentially, I guess I don't want to say not focus so much on the ROTC and the weight goal because that I don't think that's something that's hindering you as much as I originally was expecting.
Mhm.
Um, does that feel like a plan that you could potentially work with, developing an organized goal sheet and then incorporating that into the busy days to open up some time?
Yeah, definitely. I think so.
Okay. Okay. How are we looking on time?
Almost 28.
Okay.
Mhm.
I didn't mean to interrupt that way.
Oh, you're fine. Don't
Um,
worry.
um, I was almost going to touch on the Hayes approach, but I'm not so, I guess, not even concerned about where you thought you were worried with weight and stuff, because it sounds like you've got a really good understanding of what your body needs, your hunger cues. You know to follow your hunger cues and not give your body the feel that it's asking for, which I don't think a lot of people have the skill of recognizing. So I think that's something to be to be praised, really. Um, I noticed that you were potentially experienced high blood pressure occasionally, and that your dad also, I guess, is diagnosed with high blood pressure. Has this in any way
Yeah.
ever hindered any of these goals that you're trying to meet?
Um, that's another thing that's like a little bit in the back of my mind and
Okay, interesting.
def yeah, and definitely makes me think about what I'm putting into my body, which is another reason that I don't want to like eat out all that often. And that's like the where I maybe like intersect and kind of struggle more with like the I'm busy and I know that I need to get food in, but then that part of me is like, no, it's not good food, like that type of thing. So I think that's where I go back and forth is because like, yeah, my dad um was diagnosed with high blood pressure around my age, because I'm 25.
Okay.
And he was diagnosed his late 20s, I believe, and has been on medication for it ever since. And I don't want to be.
Absolutely.
And yeah, and my mom is always like, you she was like, I hate to say this, but like you've definitely always like medically taken after your dad. And
Medically
so
taken after your dad? Okay.
mhm,
So
yeah,
this potentially is familial, genetic, things that are out of your control, really. Do
yeah,
you,
it's possible.
yeah, it looked like you at least are going, in and getting checked every, I'm assuming how, is that something that you incorporate into your schedule?
It kind of just works out that way because we have to get like we've had to get
Mm,
a lot of medical appointments
righty, okay.
for Air Force stuff. And so literally when I went in, probably about 2 months ago at this point, um, the first time that I went in, um, my doctor was like, so your blood pressure is like really high. And I was like, okay,
Mm,
that's great. But then it seemed to be like kind of caffeine dependent as well because I went in and I had to go back in the next day. And he had like kind of calmed me down and got me down to a like lower, it was like the very top of the not high, sorry, of the
no, you're
normal
okay. I know what
like
you're saying. Yeah.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
like the very top of the normal part, like right before the high. And he was like, it's
Okay.
still too high for like, someone who's active and blah, blah, blah. But then like the next day I went in sans caffeine, because he was like, please do not drink coffee before you come in here tomorrow. And I said, okay. And then like we got a normal reading. Um, and so I think that is part of it
I mean,
also.
right, there is, yeah, there is an aspect of caffeine contributing to blood pressure.
Yeah,
So, okay.
yeah.
Is
But it
caffeine important to you? Do you? Yes. Okay. Okay.
yeah,
That's okay. It's important to
definitely.
me as well.
Yeah.
Have you,
But with that, like
oh,
I try to
go.
limit. Oh, it's okay. I do try to limit myself a little bit more. Um, but oh my gosh, it all ties together. But I'm like,
We're making, connecting dots.
I think so. Well, because I'm like, if I get tired at night, then I'm like, then I don't want to cook, but then I get worried about that thing. But then I'm like, but I don't want to ingest too much caffeine.
So there's a
Yeah,
cycle that's potentially feeding into itself,
I think so.
potentially
I just kind of,
perpetuating. Okay. Is there
yeah,
a
that kind of just came
fear
across.
of the blood pressure and being on medication like your father that affects the I guess the food choices that you're kind of concerned with and making those, I guess what you would had told me is like what is adequate and good for your body to feel good?
Yeah, I definitely think that like the way that I don't know, I feel like I'm kind of weird with this, but I feel like it's not necessarily the choices that I make because I think I would like still most of the time make the same choices, but I feel guilty about it. Like and that type of thing. I feel guilty when I don't have a healthy meal for like every meal.
Okay.
And it doesn't mean that I stop doing it, but I just feel guilty about it.
I gotcha. I think that's another normal feeling to experience, especially in a situation like that. Do you kind of give yourself food rules for specific scenarios and
Yeah, like I was even just thinking about this the other day. I was like, I have no snacks in my house. I have like the baby like go-go squeezes, like the baby applesauce.
my boyfriend does the
And
same thing.
yeah, okay, they are really good. So I have one snack in my house.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't know if you've like seen the trend of like the ingredient households, but I was definitely always like an ingredient household. Like we never
Gotcha.
had, yeah. And I was like, I should really get more snacks. But then I go to the grocery store and I'm like, I don't even want to look in that aisle. I'm like, I don't need that. But
That's good.
then,
I mean, that's a powerful skill you have that a lot of people wouldn't even think about potentially being part of the reason that they're struggling with some of the same concerns. So, in some aspects, you should be like very proud of yourself for doing everything that you're doing, first of all, with school, the ROTC, eating fairly well on a day-to-day basis, and like including physical activity. Do you get to undergo those like physical checkups with the ROTC often enough that you can monitor your blood pressure that way and kind of base decisions on that?
I think so. And I will say it was really relieving when I went back in and we like got a normal reading off the caffeine, because I'd also had to go to the like CSU Health Center a couple times because I like broke a finger last year. Yeah, it was so dumb. But I had to go in for a couple checkups like because of the way that I broke it. And every time they were like, like let's, you should really come in for blood pressure checks. And I was really starting to get freaked out. But they would always be like in the middle of the day, and I like wouldn't even think about the caffeine part. So I will definitely say that that's like eased my mind a bit.
Good.
But again, it's still something that I think about.
Okay, that's understandable, especially at, like you said, at 25, to just be kind of told that. And then in a sense, in the way they did, sounds almost a little, I don't want to say judgmental, but they definitely put a fear in you that now kind of affects your thought process and all this.
Definitely. Yeah. I feel like
do you know, right? Yeah. Do you know when potentially they're kind of going to eliminate or alleviate some of that BMI restrictive?
I'm not really sure. It could be in a month. It could be in a couple of years. I don't really know. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They don't love to disclose those things.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you for coming in and seeing me today and expressing all of these feelings and experiences you've gone through and your concerns for your health. I think it's very commendable that you thought of coming in to see me, as well as keeping up with your busy life, because not a lot of people can do that and then come in so positive. It sounds like you have a lot of confidence and self-efficacy in yourself, and you aren't going to be hindered by, some of these little barriers that you run into. Does it sound like you're doing the organization plan on Tuesdays and Wednesdays and figuring out some foods to make for breakfast and potentially even just lunch, and then dinner can still be kind of open and more enjoyable and up for like fair game, whatever you're interested in? And those Tuesday and Wednesdays, you can get those breakfast meals prepped and maybe some for like a variety of healthier lunch options.
Yeah, that sounds like a really good plan for now.
Okay, sounds good. So I guess we'll start with that. And then I'd love to hear how that looks in a couple weeks. And if we need to make any modifications, we can add stuff in if you're feeling very comfortable with that, or we can substitute some things or even eliminate some of that just to make this work for you. And as time starts to allow you to do more things again, we can always come in and discuss more goals you'd like to meet.
Yeah, that sounds great. And thank you for giving me the space to talk also. Like,
oh my gosh,
absolutely.
Okay. That's always my fear. I want to make sure that everybody is welcome and knows I'm hearing them.
Yes, that was great. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Chloe. I very much appreciate you coming in today.
Yeah, of course. I look forward to seeing you next time.
Next time. Enjoy the beautiful weather.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you so much. I'll see you soon.
Okay, bye.
All right, bye.